Would you stop? Hey, good morning. It is Plot Points. It's the 18th of May, and May is already halfway over. Has it gone quick, or is it just me?
Supersonic.
Supersonic?
Yeah,
Laura?
I don't even.
Ryan?
I woke up and it was almost June.
Really? Literally.
Yeah.
No Allory this week. She's got, say her brother's graduating. I keep forgetting that Trimble always graduates on a Sunday, don't they, Laura? Says the girl that graduated with me and graduated on a Sunday.
I graduated once, and that was enough.
Okay. This week, Plot Points, we've been all over the place, all over the four winds, doing our own thing, but we have been reading. We have been watching stuff. We've been catching up on stuff. Why is my dog barking? Of course, another one.
Well, you can hear my birds, so it's a real Sunday.
You're absolutely fine. We had a few things since the last time we come together. I have some questions. Laura, question for you, being our resident horse lady. When, over the last couple weeks, we had not only the Kentucky Derby, and we had not only the Met Gala. When they bring the horses out before the race and give them their little shot, is that the equivalent of all the celebrities at the Met Gala doing their thing? Well, first, are you a fan of the Kentucky Derby? You just watch for the horses and then turn off the race?
I respect the horses, but I don't watch it.
Okay.
I respect their athleticism and their champions.
I'm with that.
There are no spirits dying in the Cimarron.
Okay. But the respect is there. Brian is back for the first time in years. Brian,
I know, I'm so excited.
Please give us a recap of where you have been, where you are now, and what you were doing since the last time we've seen you.
So right now, I think last time we talked, I was working for the Chief of Staff of the Army.
Right.
And then since then, when he left and I did the transition with General George, who is now the current Chief of Staff of the Army, I got picked up to work on a IPSA, which is the Army's modernization effort to get all the National Guard, the Reserve, and the active Army on one HR system. And so we're developing that. So I really kind of, to be honest with you, for like the past 2 years now, I've really kind of just been in the tech sector. Which is a very unusual place within the Army because technically we produce products that generate zero profit. So it's we deal with the same budgetary constraints. We deal with all this, all the craziness that goes along with current administrations and all these things that go out. So it's been a ride, but I'll tell you what, I've probably within this 2 years, I learned so much about different aspects of that industry. And because my role there is, I'm the product owner, I've kind of had to learn a whole bunch of other tech stuff that probably would have never been introduced to outside of just having that position. So that's where I'm at now. I'm probably headed back to the building here probably next year. Sometime in 2016, late 2016. But I'll be working for the policy branch, so that'd be a little bit different as well.
I'm not going to sit here and correct you, but you said 2016, and all three of us went, what is
2026? Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. Wow. Yeah,
Thanks.
2016. Right. So this is my future self talking about what I did.
Also, you guys don't know about this new quantum paradox that's coming next year.
Well, this is just a sample of quantum computing and what it can do for you.
A soft drop, yeah.
Right. So I'm here in the present, but I was also there in 2016, and I think we're okay now.
I think we're okay enough. I'm gonna put Kiara right on the spot. Kiara, you saw a movie I think we all wanted to check out this last week, and now we're putting you right on the spot. Here it is. Bang. Go ahead and give us a review. Is it sexier than it is scary?
Yes.
Okay. So I went with my wording, and I think I chose right.
I really enjoyed it, truthfully.
Okay.
I didn't think I was going to. I thought I was going to going into it, and then it started, and it was a very slow burn. Kind of, there was a lot of like stage laying, a lot of setting it up. Like the whole first half of the movie was like, oh, is this about vampires? I'm very confused. Everything I knew about the movie going in was not coming to fruition in the first half. And then it picks up really quickly. And then takes you on a journey, truly. But it was a really slow burn. Like it was an hour long for me anyway. I think that I like pacing to be a little faster. I like especially action to be introduced earlier in a movie that I like going in primed know is action related. And so the first hour kind of dragged on for me, but I stand by what I said in the group chat. Django meets Get Out set to a blues musical kind of vibe. And also, like, I gave it an 8 out of 10 as a piece of art. It was probably like a 7 out of 10 movie for me in terms of like entertainment value. But when you start taking in like the work that was put into it, the cultural references, the interconnectedness of the characters, the historical background, it really came together beautifully for me towards the end. The last half of the movie by itself was a better movie than the first half of it by itself. But I enjoy it. Would still recommend it for sure, but with the warning that it is a very slow burn.
Okay. A few questions. I think a lot of what everybody perceives of it seems like a lot of the movie was given away in the trailers. Is that the case or no?
I think I personally left the trailer with the impression that it was like a deep South vampire movie.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, I think I'd walk away feeling the same way.
I left with kind of that impression. The movie itself comes to be more about spirituality and the way that music can open up barriers between worlds. And then that's like the artistic cultural piece. And then superstitions and the like vampire piece comes into it. But the vampire, I honestly, personally, and I read too much into everything that I watch, but it really just felt kind of like this, like good versus evil and displaying evil in different ways. Like they gave you evil as a vampire, but they also gave you evil as the Ku Klux Klan. And there's this like juxtaposition of those two realities. And so it is a vampire movie set in the Deep South. But more so it's a commentary on good and evil. And I don't know. I think if you're looking just for an entertaining vampire, gory, bloody thing, this isn't it. That would be but there is sex and it wasn't very scary. So I would say definitely sexy.
The movie wasn't scary, or the sex wasn't scary?
The movie wasn't scary, and the sex was a little scary.
Oh, okay. I love a good scary sex.
Brought me back. Who so it obvious? Was there any time during the point that, I mean, I don't think you can take it away from it, Michael B. Jordan has a twin, and they're both obviously Michael B. Jordan. Was any of it obvious while you're watching? Like, oh, you could tell these scenes were, filmed separately, then spliced in, or anything like that? Anything that was obvious?
Yeah, I think The Parent Trap did it better. I'm going to be honest.
The Parent Trap. I didn't expect
I
Parent
said
Trap
it.
drop today.
I said it.
Wait, the original or the Lindsay Lohan?
Lindsay Lohan.
Yes.
Yeah, I think they did but they did fairly well. I think it was just there were a couple scenes where I'm like, he's standing right next to you and you're looking at something that's next to you, but it looks like you're looking over here and he's over here kind of situation. But altogether, I think, and maybe I was primed because I watched a lot of like TikToks about Sinners and kind of the cinematography that went into it and the different frames that they use to film it. And so when you see all of that come together, it's very artistic and beautifully made. But I think it's definitely a movie that was more to send a message than it was to entertain. Like, I feel like Marvel kind of got to that point where it was like just entertainment shock value.
Right.
And this is the opposite end of the spectrum. It's like, we kind of care about entertaining you, but more so we have something to say and we're going to say it. And so that's what it felt like to me.
Okay.
I'm giving it a glowing review. I do still recommend it. I do think it should be seen.
No, I'm going to watch it. I told you I've got that super illegal TV box, and it's already on there, but it's all like 4 different things of a cam. I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna watch this in a cam. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Brian, I'm gonna continuously rapid fire you because we haven't seen you in 40 and twain. What have you watched over the last, let's call it a couple weeks, that we should know about? Movies, TV, what have you, dude? I'm just so glad you're back.
Thanks, brother. I finished up. I finished up Shogun, which I purposely waited to watch. Which I then heard that they are doing a Shogun Part 2, which highly disappoints me because the ending of that story was actually probably one of the best endings I've seen in TV in recent times, because it really brought everything to closure. And I mean, if you know anything about the history of that, like that was like the longest period of peace within the Edo, right?
Right.
I think it was like 250 years, and he actually gave up the shogunate to his son.
Okay.
And there's a little bit more after that, but I'll save it for the second show, or for this season 2, because there is a little bit more that kind of goes into that. But in general, I mean, he's looked favorably upon, and the fact that he gave it back and he gave it to his son, he was kind of like his son's advisor, just speaks volumes. Because I mean, obviously we experienced that when we were in Japan together, right? I mean, the way that modern Japan is formulated from that, and the reason why Edo is located in Tokyo versus Osaka, right? So and then what else? I think,
well, not to delve on Shogun too long, because I've watched it, you watched it, Kiara, you've watched it. We talked it episode by episode almost on Instagram.
We did.
When it comes to roles, obviously Lord Toranaga, every time he's in a movie, I watch it because I love him. I remember all the way back to one of me and Brian's cult classic favorites, Sunshine, was the first time I saw Lord Toranaga. And of course, he was in a bunch of other things. He was in like Paul, or the original Ring, the Japanese Ring, and I think he was in, I don't know if he was in Paul's Bullet Train, a lot of things, the new John Wick. But the female lead, Mariko, you can already from that series alone sign me up to anything she's in. I'm watching it. She killed it. She absolutely killed it.
Absolutely.
No, please go ahead. What else are you watching?
So finish that up, and then I went back and read the rest of the Three Body Problem. The other two books. Just because I think I wanted a little bit more understanding of like how expansive um, that universe is. Like like sometimes like even like when you look at Dune, like I mean, I can't remember, it's like 9,000 years that Dune covers, right?
Mhm.
And I could be way off on that, but I know it's a very long time, and they only
That's too
mention
many years.
say again.
That's too many years.
It is. It is a lot of years. But let's go back to quantum. You know, we can experience them all the years and still be in the present. With present
Apparently,
being
apparently
included.
you are.
So, but yeah. So it's. I mean, the books are great. I mean, it's not a. It's definitely not for someone that is you know, for a glass half full person. Um,
Mhm.
but it does take into account. I think there's a lot more deeper meaning within today's society, and even within you look within the past 50 years of China's culture and how it's come about and how fast their small period of when like most of China was just farmland to how fast they are with technology and the level of skill that their society has. Because even the jobs that are very mundane, that are low cost, actually would be very high skill over here. And that it's just the way that that society grew up, right? We grew up with more, our more not technical jobs, but our more skilled jobs tend to be laborious, right? Contractors, people that do electricians, all those types of skills, right? They don't necessarily have the same quality of skill over there, but as far as electronics go, we have to import that type of skill here, where they have it readily available, and a lot of third world countries are going that way, right?
Mhm.
Because a lot more industry is buying up their land to then use it for that purpose. So the book really kind of just it really talks about these interstellar interstellar travel and these races of if we ever get that the wow signal, you know maybe we shouldn't respond.
I'm with it. I dig it. Laura, between all the pets, what seems like constant renovations or refurbishing of furniture and uplifting the youth in the community, are you watching anything that's noteworthy?
So I finally started From based on your guys' gentle nudging. Can you guys shut up, please? Um, yeah, I hate the word still. No, you brought up Michael B. Jordan, and his studio picked up the Fourth Wing adaptation, and I'm really, really excited about that.
I didn't know
So
that.
they're working really.
We're on the edge of our seat. Are we going to lose her? Oh,
Yeah, I have shitty internet still.
you're good.
But yeah, I've just been reading all of my fantasy novels. I'm 5 books into the Plated Prisoner series. Love it, and really, really excited for the TV adaptation of Fourth Wing. I know that the author Rebecca Yaros is working really closely with the studio to make sure it doesn't go the way Twilight
Okay,
did. Like,
I'm with it. Do
yeah, I'm really excited for that. I'm actually wearing one of my Fourth Wing shirts right now.
hell yeah.
I rolled directly out of bed onto this chair to hang out with you guys.
Same. Are you? Is there a certain uh, network or streaming service you would think would do this series the most
Amazon.
justice? Amazon.
Yeah,
Are you?
Amazon.
Oh, has that already been confirmed?
Yeah.
I know they did, they're doing the Wheel of Time series, and my wife read them and really enjoyed them. But
Kiara's face just lit up.
well, I hate to say that my wife's been kind of turned off from the series, and she kind of stopped watching it. I don't know if Kiara holds that same sentiment or not.
The third season was not great.
Okay.
But I have enjoyed watching it nonetheless. I think they really got us hooked in one, and two was also good, and then three, they're just riding the coattails of the first two, and I feel like we're not putting in as much effort as we need to be. But I did watch it and enjoyed it and all of that. But I wasn't. I will agree, the third season didn't grip me quite as hard, and I haven't. I haven't read them, so if she's read them, then she may have a completely different take and hate it for a completely different reason.
I think that's solely it.
Yeah,
I think that's solely it. I know that.
definitely.
Yeah, I know that they dropped a teaser for the next season of Bridgerton, and that got my wife all in an uproar. I don't know if any of you are Bridgerton girlies.
I've watched it all. I haven't read any of it. My sister's read some of it, so like she kind of gives me the scoop on like book stuff. But I am a liberal and I'm progressive. But I would say that some like, come on, just let some things be, and it's okay. I have no problem with the race changes. I'm just like, you completely changed one of these characters' whole gender and sexual identity just for the sake of it, and so, and that's fine. But I just like, it was good. It was good. It was fine. And now I don't know. I
But
think
hey, you're
there's an
allowed to
extent. Yeah, I don't know.
be. You're allowed to be.
When they changed a man into a woman, that's a whole different situation now.
I'm excited for, and this is completely unrelated. I keep forgetting about it, but Laura's talking about the writer, the author being close to the production of the series that's being made from the book. I'm excited for it. What I'm really excited for is Tom King. He's a comic book writer. He wrote a Supergirl or Superwoman story that's just leaps and bounds better than any Superman property I've read in the last decade. It's so good, and James Gunn has already picked it up, and then the young girl who played the main character in House of Dragons, she's going to be Superwoman, and I think it's just a match made in heaven. That just popped into my mind. I have to pull it up and show you guys. But
Who from House of Dragons?
The main girl when she was young in that first series.
Rhaenyra or the
Rhaenyra, the badass,
Oh,
the young actress who portrayed her when she was younger. Yeah.
okay.
She is going to be Superwoman, and I'm excited for it. And I like what James Gunn is doing. Yeah. When it comes to me, yeah, absolutely. When it comes to me reading and watching things, I'm kind of all over the place. A lot of work's been kicking up lately. I'm getting a lot of people ready for a potential deployment here in the next month, so I've kind of all over the place. But I will let us know about some things that are coming up here on the next month. This next month here, big book releases through some fantasies. Now, Kiara has dipped her toes in the fantasy waters, and she's trying to find a lifeline or just a buoy to keep her head above water. But big releases coming up in the book world this month. Night and the Moth. It's a book talk sensation from Rachel Gillig. This comes the next big romantasy phenomenon, a gothic mist cloaked tale of a prophetess who is forced beyond her safety and hoist her on an impossible quest to defeat the gods in one night whose future is beyond her sight. I don't know much about this book. I've gotten probably like 4 or 5 different emails between Barnes & Noble, Thrift Books, all these book outlets. Everyone's saying this is the hot new fantasy, so I'm just going to put that out there. After that, we've got Kiara's most overhyped author of all time, Stephen King. He's got a new book coming out. He's got a new book coming out. Only reason I want to put this on here because of all his universe. And don't get me wrong, I like The Dark Tower. I think Brian is a fan as well. But I do enjoy the character Holly Dibney. I liked her portrayal in Mr. Mercedes and on the HBO show Outsider with Cynthia Erivo. I thought she did a good job as well. So new saga in the Holly Dibney series coming from Stephen King. And on the 12th, it's actually already out. I didn't even see it at the bookstore. The Tenant, Frida McFadden. I put this one on here for Allory. Blake Porter had everything until he lost it all. Fired from his marketing VP job and struggling to keep the mortgage payments, he is desperate for a solution. Then Whitney appears. Charming, beautiful, and a perfect tenant. But something feels off. The neighbors act strangely, and unsettling decay lingers in his home, and eerie noises disrupts his sleep. No matter how hard he tries to ignore it, Blake senses a sinister presence. Someone or something knows his darkest secrets. And as this world unravels, he realizes that Whitney's arrival may not have been a coincidence after all. That is The Tenant by Frida McFadden. Those are some big books coming up this month.
So I read The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden, and it was a very good, like, Lifetime movie-esque read.
Okay.
Like, very dramatic, very short, quick read, lots of drama. So I'm sure that will be a good one.
Hell yeah, I'm fucking with it. Moving on this month, movies and TV. Movie I'm excited for because comedies are slowly dying. I am excited for Friendship. Suburban Dad, Tim Robinson. I don't know if you guys watch I Think You Should Leave or Detroiters or anything. Tim Robinson, and he absolutely cracks me up. But he's a suburban dad whose marriage is falling apart. In the movie, he's married to Rooney Mara. And then he falls hard on a charismatic new neighbor who happens to be Paul Rudd. I'm excited for that one.
I haven't heard of it, but I'm also excited now.
You should watch the trailer for it. I think this looks like a hilarious romp.
Yeah, just that's all of one sentence, and I'm excited.
Exactly. Coming next week to Netflix. I don't know if you've watched any of the Fear Street saga on Netflix. Allory and I have watched all of them, and they are very, the cast is younger adults, teenagers, if you would, but I think they're very good. First one, a lot of murders in a small town. The second one, they go back farther to the 80s and almost like a summer camp slasher, but they're all in the same universe, in the same realm. And then the third one, they go all the way back to, I would say, the 1700s, Brian? I see you nodding. I know you've seen them. 1800s.
And I don't remember which one it is. It's probably the 1700s.
Yeah, that one was surprisingly maybe the best one in the bunch even. I really enjoyed that one.
The Fear Street Prom Queen just reminds me of like the Prom Night series.
Like we're talking like Jamie Lee Curtis.
Well, like Hello Mary Lou, like Prom Night 2, like those types of things.
No, absolutely.
So I mean, I'm gonna watch it, and I love any type of horror, whether it's trash horror or it doesn't really matter what it is. I'll give anything a shot. But
no, absolutely.
But the Fear Street production, I think has actually been really good on the stories that they've picked and the people that they've gotten to do it, because a lot of these actors are really no-namers.
Awkward silence. I let the cat out. No, I think they've been extremely good for what they are. And if you needed a selling point, Kiara, if you haven't watched any of them, this is R.L. Stine going darker. So these are R.L. Stine series of books, but they are fun. The first one, like I said, is just a killer in a small town with these young teenagers, but then it kind of probably in the last half of the movie. Then it gets dark real quick, and it immediately flips a switch, and you're like, "Oh shit, this is what this is." Very, very good.
I was a Goosebumps girl, so
Yeah,
I may just have to do it.
I was just about to say, like, I remember, like, when I transitioned from Goosebumps to Fear Street books, like, around 5th grade, and I felt so cool reading the Fear Street books, because, like, they're for teenagers.
yeah,
I never dived in as a young adult or as a teenager, but might have to do a little. I'm writing it down.
yeah. They're
Probably
fun
just movies.
watches.
I'm not going back and reading books for that young of an age group.
No,
For me.
I wouldn't expect you to, but no, the new one it's Prom Queen, and like I said, I enjoyed the 3 not thinking I would, and I absolutely came away like, wow, I'm glad I watched that. And
Do they watch as though they're for a younger audience, or do they watch like they're for adults?
the first one is half and half, and then after that, I think the second one when they're at the summer camp, that's adults, and I think the third one when they go back even farther to like the 1800s, it's definitely for adults.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good
God, I say because I say half and half on the first one because there is a lot of young teen drama and table setting, and then
Yeah, I think
the
that
nonsense happens.
I think the first one tries to bridge the gap between the two, right? I want to make this for younger people to view versus and also for their parents that are probably watching it with them to be able to kind of get into. But definitely the other two flip the needle to like, yeah, this is like you've already had the sample. Now we're gonna give you all the adult stuff.
Isn't that a shame though that they kind of prime it with like the idea that it was kid friendly or kid safe, and then they just right to the other side of the story. I love it, but the mom and dad watching with the kid on the second one is probably like, this is not what the first one was. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I'm sure all the subsequent ones after that were like, I know you saw the first one, does not mean you can watch 2 and 3. I'm sorry.
It's probably it's definitely like that fourth wall break. That's like that you're halfway through the first movie, and they're like, all right, are the parents out of the room? Okay, here we go. Kind of a thing. So that's on Netflix. I believe at the end of this week, 23rd. Yeah. And then at the end of the month, I'm excited for the brothers that brought you Talk to Me are coming out with Bring Her Back. Following the death of their father, a brother and sister are introduced to their new sibling by their foster mother, only to learn that she has a terrifying secret. This is one, just know that it is an A24 horror movie. Know that it is from the same individuals that brought you Talk to Me. I would suggest you stay away from the trailer on this one. I couldn't begin to fathom how much of this is, gigantic plot points that are revealed in the trailer, but I would suggest stay away from it. But it looks good. It's these two did Talk to Me. I really enjoyed Talk to Me. Even though I did walk away saying, hey, that was a cool movie. At the same time, I walked away like, man, couldn't you let the girl win? Like, her mom's already dead, and now she just wants to talk to her. Then you totally fucking fuck her over at the end of it. It kind of pissed me off. But I mean, it is what it is. I can't have everything wrapped up in a nice bow every time. But I enjoyed it. I really liked it.
I like Talk to Me, and you said A24, so I know Allory's gonna watch it.
Yeah. Allory and I are those ones that are like, oh, A24, they're films, they're not movies. Even though like, it's 50-50.
Nerds.
Yeah, right. It's 50-50 on them. Like I said, I watched an A24 film that I thoroughly disliked, and kind of go full circle here. I watched Death of a Unicorn last week, and I didn't like it. It didn't do anything for me. And honestly, it's not his fault. I think just the character type or the writing was kind of meh. This is probably Paul Rudd's first bad movie, Death of a Unicorn, and I kind of like Paul Rudd and everything, but I wasn't a fan.
You wanted to like it.
Yeah, I really did want to like it. I liked Jenna Ortega. I like Will Poulter that's in it. Taya Leone's in it. Paul Rudd, obviously. Um, just wasn't a fan. Just wasn't a fan. We went books. We went movies. Comics this week or this month, have you? I went ahead and first one is Exquisite Corpses by James Tynion. He is the horror sci-fi god in the comic world these days. Exquisite Corpses already came out. I bought it yesterday. I read it last night. I do agree. It is a first issue for $3 and it's 60 pages. I don't know if you have any context for the comic book world. The comic book is usually about 20 pages. This one's about 60 and they didn't raise the price on it, so I was all for it. It's where a group of 13,
That's like bonus enjoyment.
Exactly.
40 pages for free.
I know exactly. That's like I didn't have to buy like the the volume 1.
Exactly. I was excited. I grabbed it and I off the shelf and I realized there was a little bit of heft to it. I read it last night. Think of it as there are 13 families that essentially run the world. And once every year on Halloween, they go and find some small little tiny isolated town and knock out all communications, make it go dark, block all the entries and exits ways to the town. And they all pick a champion, a murderer, a killer, a serial killer, whatever. And they almost have like a murderous battle royale who is the last person standing at the end of Halloween night. And that family gets to run as like an Illuminati in a sense. They get to run the world for another year. So it was an interesting concept. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I put it on my pull list. I'm going to grab next month's issue. At the end of the month, Mommy Blog #1 comes out. This one is Astrid, who's a aspiring social media super mommy. But then all of a sudden, disappearances of children in several neighborhoods start coming up. She's certain that a predator is on the prowl. She turns to, all of her cunning and creativity, spice of catching this killer. And it says here, and if the rival for Mommy of the Year gets caught in the path of a chainsaw, well, you have to break a few eggs to make an omelet, don't you? So I'm interested in that one. And of course, one of the biggest titles in all comic books, Saga, has a new volume out. It's it's the best sci-fi soap opera you'll read on the comic book shelves. It's almost unfilmable. I don't think it'll ever get made into a series or a movie because it's so wild and out there and out of left field and sexy. But everybody, when it's all said and done, it's going to be one of the top 10 of all time, I would say. But those are the big comic releases for this month. We've got to figure out what we want to do so when we reconvene in 2 weeks, it'll be the 1st. It will be June. So is there anything else coming out this month you can think of? I can't think of anything that's really got me excited. Okay. I see Laura is in the ether somewhere. I still see her at the bottom box down there. So we'll get back to Laura if she jumps back on. Laura's book. Allory's not here. We'll save it for her. Kiara, you want to let us into this mass, world that you've delved into. This, this is, like I said, you dipped your toe in the water, and now that you're in it, there's no getting out. Do you want to talk to us about Sarah J. Maas, who's almost becoming a fantasy household name?
I begrudgingly read this series. I really did. I know we've talked about it before. Brian, I don't know if you in one of the ones you tuned in on, I am not a fantasy reader anymore. Like, I'm 32. I think the last time I read something fantasy-esque was honestly Twilight, if we're not counting the entire Harry Potter series.
But does that count?
It does.
Okay.
But also haven't read that since I was a teenager either. And so just kind of left fantasy in my younger years, and I really enjoy watching fantasy. So like Wheel of Time, Shadow and Bone, all of those things that have been made into movies or shows, I'm very into. But as far as sitting down and reading, and even these, I did them on audiobooks, so I technically cheated. But yeah, so ACOTAR series, you have a little blurby there. I'll read it. So it follows Feyre Archeron, a huntress who is taken to the fairy realm of Prythian after killing a High Fae, and she is initially captured by the High Lord of the Spring Court, who's Tamlin, and becomes embroiled in the politics and dangers of the fairy world. The Feyre's journey involves navigating the treacherous courts, battling formidable High Fae, falling in love with a High Fae, and she ultimately must choose between her love for Tamlin and her commitment to protecting the human world and her friends. And so it definitely evolves throughout the whole series. I will say none of the books got less than a 4 from me, 4 out of 5, which I was floored about. Laura's super happy. Yeah, she was one of the I was telling them, Laura, I begrudgingly read this series because I hold that I'm not a romantasy person. I think I am a fantasy reader. The steam and the spice was nice and whatever, but I think like I would have been fine without it. So I think maybe I'm a fantasy reader again in a way I wasn't before. Romantasy, I could take or leave. But yeah, none of them got less than a 4 from me. The first one was super slow on the uptick. Everybody prepped me for that. They said it was a very like slow beginning in A Court of Thorns and Roses. They lost me a bit in the middle. If anyone was following along when I was like making stories about it, like it got very Beauty and the Beastie for me, and I was like, I am done with you. Thank you very much. Goodbye. And then there's like and I'm trying to do this with as little spoilers as possible, but they like go somewhere called Under the Mountain, and they she has to do these trials to get free, and it just kind of brought me back into kind of Hunger Games feelings, the way you feel reading some of those fight for your life kind of spaces. And so hooked me again. I would say that first one's a combination of Beauty and the Beast, Hunger Games meets a little bit of Twilight. So, and I kind of divvied up my like review in kind of that way where I compare every book to other fantasy things that I've seen, because I think Sarah J. Maas really, I think she did it beautifully, but I think it is an amalgamation of things that have already been done. But I feel like that's probably the fantasy world in general, especially at this point. Pretty hard to do something original when there's so many different magic systems written and portrayed. Court of Mist and Fury, Feyre makes it through the trials that she has to make it through, and she's trying to acclimate to now getting to be with the guy that she thought she wanted to be with, and him kind of being a little whiny baby back punk. Did not like Tamlin at all in the second book. Is what it is, sue me. I hope nobody else did. He did not redeem himself for several other pages. I think he did redeem
the like fan club calls him tampon for a reason.
It's terrible. I and you know, in the first book I was like, oh, you know, but she really did just fall for the first person that gave her any amount of affection. But she recognized that and said so in like the third book. So I'm like, okay, character growth development. We love you for that. But Court of Mist and Fury was kind of this like, who do I love, the one I'm with or the other one? Johnny Depp always said go for the other one, because if you love the first one enough, you wouldn't even think about the second one. And so kind of that battle of the males, but also very focused on Feyre and the character development. I likened this second book to Avatar: Last Airbender meets Divergent. You kind of see the world building come into this like faction related / they're all kind of divvied into different seasonal courts. But Avatar: Last Airbender, Feyre just being super powerful and having elements of different types of magic without spoiling. It's just her kind of getting into the space where she's trying to master all that she is, and she is quite a lot. And so Court of Wings and Ruin was my favorite of all of the books. It's Game of Thrones meets Shadow and Bone. It's all the politics, the scheming, the battle scenes. It's your action centered one. Really enjoyed it. Really kind of you get to see the characters from a more strategic standpoint. My favorite one out of all of them, Court of Frost and Starlight. I think I called it the Cozy Christmas Special. It feels like the Hogsmeade scene of any Harry Potter movie you've ever seen. It's just very like, it's post-war, it's post Rings and Ruin, which I don't know if she made Wings and Ruin spell war on purpose because it's the one that they had battle, which I thought was kind of an interesting thing. But it's the post-war. There's an actual gift-giving holiday going on, and they're all just kind of acclimating to life post whatever. And so very cozy Christmas special, very short. It's the smallest one out of all of them. And then A Court of Silver Flames, which I just finished yesterday. And I started it. I was like, this is going to be my favorite one. I was like, hours 1, hours 2, hours 3, because you get to see the sister's perspective, one of the sister's perspective, and it's a lot of character development on her part. But then we get to the middle of it, and all it is a pity party. It was just a very long pity party too. It did not need to be as long as it was. It's also, I think, the longest book. I could be wrong. I listened to them, so I'm not entirely certain, but I'm getting nods from Laura. So the pity party was just too much for me. I also wrote down it felt too YA despite having very adult themes. It had all the sex and the spice from the other books, but it just felt very young. And I felt like it was therapy for a set of symptoms I don't possess. Is what I thought about A Court of Silver Flames. It was just, I get it. She had to go through it, and the end of the book does redeem itself. I still gave it 4 out of 5. Nothing got less than 4 out of 5. But I still would say Court of Wings and Ruin. It rating from best to worst: Court of Wings and Ruin, Court of Mist and Fury, Court of Silver Flames, Court of Thorns and Roses, and then Court of Frost and Starlight.
Now, go ahead, Laura.
I actually just had to tap into my Goodreads because I don't often type anything after I finish a book. But on A Court of Frost and Starlight, I did add a caption that said, "Everyone needs a Christmas episode," right? So Absolutely. It is very much the cozy Christmas special.
Mm-hmm. And I liked it for what it was. I also like that it had to exist because you get to learn so much about the other characters. Whereas the first 3, it's all Rhysand and Feyre and Tamlin and just a little bit of everybody else. And I feel like A Court of Frost and Starlight really lets you meet and know the other characters in a way you couldn't because everything was happening in the other ones. But yeah, I think it was short and sweet and necessary.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Laura.
ACOTAR was me dipping my toe back into reading, and it just set off an insatiable desire for fantasy novels.
I can see that.
Also see Throne of Glass series. I get sad at least once a week that I can't read Throne of Glass from the beginning, for the first time again.
That's. I have yet to decide if I am going to.
You have to.
I know John Fletcher was the final straw, Chris, that said, "Hey, you have to read the ACOTAR series." Fletcher and his wife.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he was like, "And then you have to read Throne of Glass." And I was like, "Okay, I need you to calm down." Or Crescent City.
No.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
I'm only 2 books through that, and I've been working on it for a year. I cannot drag myself through it. And I know the 3rd book is where it all links in and makes it worth it, but I can't do it.
So, it got to the point. Oh, please.
No, I'm sorry. So it's my wife is a almost a strictly fantasy reader. She's a almost strictly fantasy gamer even, but when Sarah J. Maas puts out a new book, it's the only time my wife drops what she's doing, goes to Barnes Noble, gets the book, and sits, tells us to figure out dinner, and she's reading them until
John Young.
yeah. So she reads Sarah J. Maas drops religiously, and she's went through the Throne of Glass series, and I can't elaborate on a lot of them. I just let her be all hot and bothered as she's reading them, but she'll come and give me a recap of obviously things I have no fucking clue about. But she's went through the Throne of Glass series, and she's like, oh my god, Chris, like Sarah J. Maas verse, we're talking connected universes, and I don't want to give that much of a spoiler, but she's more than over the moon when it comes to the ACOTAR blending in with the Throne of Glass series, and she's 100% all aboard. But anything else fantasy, like Laura, she's such a Rebecca Yarros fan. She'll go and she'll buy the Rebecca Yarros books, but they're sitting because God forbid sometime this year a Sarah J. Maas book is coming out, or she's got the Crescent City series up there as well, but she's like packed it away for the summer. She's like, oh, I'm going on a trip, I'm going to read these then. Like, I'll get to them when I get to them, but these have been, scheduled readings for her every time one drops. And she's the biggest, wishes I was Rhys-Ann, whoever the hell that is. But no.
He's the better one. He's the better one.
It's the better one.
But you haven't met Rowan Whitethorn yet, Kiara. So
that's fair. I will say about the connection between the different. It wasn't a subtle. It was. I talk about the most obvious in. I don't. Which book was it? I think Frost and Starlight. Either way, they allude to multi dimensions, multiverse, blah blah blah. And I immediately texted John. I was like, this is the other books, right? Because what's going on? He said, shh. So I said, okay, I'll calm down. But it was they put it in there, and they threw caution to the wind when they made the
Throne of Glass is my Roman Empire. So good. And it's not I hate when people and I am guilty of this. When I first started reading Sarah J. Maas, it was everybody equates it with smut, and Chris even said hot and bothered, but it's such a small part of this incredible world building realm that yeah, they fuck, but who doesn't? It's so much more.
True. There were parts in there where I'm like, all right, guys. But I mean, it made sense in the storyline. They were mated. They, it got a little crazy there for a minute. It was just sex. But it was because it was supposed to be. And, that's fine. Plus, I was reading it. So really, or I was listening to it, which, by the way, I don't think I put this in the group. I might have put this in the group chat. I think I said it to John for sure, that the sex scenes in 2 times speed on an audiobook, not sexy. I was just like, oh, okay, I don't understand. And then I went and I put it at 1.5 instead, and I was like, this is why people read this book. But at 2 speed, I was like, this is terrible. So
2 times speed, her grabbing the headboard.
It's not, it's not sexy at 2 times speed. It's not smut. If you don't want it to be smut, read it at 2 times speed.
Okay. Well, again, I'm glad. Let's be real. Let's not, skim over the fact that you read 5 books this month. So that's awesome.
When it hits, it hits.
Right.
I felt like I was teenage me reading Hunger Games at 2 a.m. in the morning. I can't go to bed, but I have homeroom in the morning kind of situation. Yeah. It did feel that way. So I could see when Laura said it got her out of a slump. For me, I was in a 4 to 6 year slump. I don't even know how long the slump was, but The Silent Patient did it for me, which is a psychological thriller, which a lot of people have controversial opinions about. But look, if it gets you back into reading, it gets you back into reading. I love the plot twists in that book. So whatever does it.
I'm with you. Brian, we I don't have a graphic prepared for you, but what have you read this last month that we should know about?
Boy, oh boy. That I'm excited about. I think I read. I mean, and these aren't newer books. I think I read a book called The Crow Garden,
Okay.
by Alison Littlewood, and it is like set in the Victorian, like back in like Victorian England, and essentially it's like she was committed to like this asylum, or her husband commits her to this asylum. She's he thinks she's like possessed, and but she has like these supernatural abilities,
Ooh,
and basically leads her into like this, descent into madness, and basically like um sort of like these exploration of boundaries between um science and the occult.
ooh.
And
Is
so basically,
she?
so
Is
basically,
she?
the reason why he commits her is because he's thinking that this asylum is going to, he's like, hey, fix her so that I can get her back, and that's she was never meant to be fixed.
She
This is
she
this
was
is
beyond saving in a sense.
well, it's it's
his
it's
his
who it's
eyes.
who she really was, right?
Right.
And so the book really kind of unfolds like this person, and this person that isn't safe for that society, right?
Okay.
Um, but it's just her, right? And like, does she fall into somebody who could have exploited this? Of course. You know what I mean? Does she, do they fix her or drug her up or whatever it is that they did back then, and put her back in his care? You know what I mean? So it explores the book kind of got some grief. I read a little bit about it afterwards, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, well, it didn't talk about any, the cultural impacts or anything like that." And I was like, I don't really care, because I really feel for the main character in this, because she's in a world where she doesn't belong,
Mhm.
and it's like how do you adjust to that?
What's the
Versus,
title again?
I started reading the Monster series again,
Oh yeah,
um, and I've watched it. I watch it every year, um,
dude.
but I've
It's
only
it's it's top three for me.
but I've only read all the books. I think two times. One is I finally got um, all the complete books when I left Japan,
Mm.
and so I read it for the first time. Once I had the book, complete complexion or collection of the books, I read them all then, and then about 3 years ago, I read them all again. And I tell you what, every time I read it and every time I watch it, there's always something new that I learn. Um, it's just a really the only thing about it is that is the reading it is actually a little bit faster, but the show, like the series, is
Mm.
very slow paced. I
Oh
don't
yeah.
mind that because I know like I know what I'm getting out of it because I've seen it so many times.
Hmm.
But for new people to just sit and watch it, it reminds me of like the first 3 episodes of Game of Thrones. It's just
Right.
like it took me so long to watch that entire series because I just got so bored with the first 3 episodes. I just couldn't get past it. But after the third episode, bam, it was just like, holy crap. All right. Oh, this is gone. Oh, he's gone. Oh God. And that's it, just kept this whole thing rolling. Now we won't talk about the ending of that show. I think we
Love
all
it.
What
have
a
a sentiment
letdown.
on how we feel about that. But the show for what it is, for the time that it was, bridging gaps between people just to sit there and talk about it. I think the show did more good than it did harm, right?
Listen,
Um,
I would say we talk about Monster, and if either of you are unaware of what we're talking about, it's Naoki Urasawa, who is, in my opinion, the absolute greatest mangaka of all time. Everything he's put out has been phenomenal, but it is a psychological thriller. It is in very much sense, it's a slow burn psychological thriller, but it's very meticulous
It's
with the pace.
Post-war Germany. About a doctor that saves this kid and a girl from an accident, and the years later, or his career kind of gets set off by this series of events of saving these two children, and essentially the boy ends up being like a psychopathic serial killer, essentially. But it discovers you find out that the child was actually put into the school called, what is it, 123 Kinderheim,
511 Kinderheim,
511 Kinderheim, yep. And he's essentially became a product of the environment, and because it's post-war Germany, you could obviously think of like what they were teaching him during that time, right? So like essentially it kind of branches off into like almost like the Hitler Youth, but it's not directly towards that figure. It's just more or less the ideas of hating and all this other torment that happens to this kid and why he's the way he is. But it's this juxtaposed position of, here's the guy that like ends up saving his life and his sister's life, but now is on the hunt years later to go kill him to right this mistake that he did, right? So the guy that's supposed to be saving lives is now the killer, right? And it just follows these storylines of everybody that Dr. Tenma is the real main guy, of all these people that he touches, and like all these deeper, darker things that are involved in their lives that on the surface seem, these people seem like they're perfectly normal people, they're perfectly nice and all this other stuff, and then you kind of start peeling back that onion, and it gets scary very quickly. And then I also watched, this is not something I read, but I rewatched the Garden of Sinners anime, which is probably one of the best anime series ever. I don't ever recommend watching it in order. The order is so that one is basically follows this girl. She's born into a family that has this unique ability, and basically it's the split personality inside her mind that is trained to be like this supernatural assassin. And she has like this traumatic incident. She awakens with this, what they call the mystic eyes of death perception. And basically, she can see ghosts, or she can see these spirits that are trying to harm humans. And there's like these marks that she can see that will instantly kill or get rid of these haunting spirits. But I think there's 8 movies altogether, but they all came out at different times. So like the watch order, you can find the watch order on any website, but I'll tell you what, if you want to see the story in order, I watched it like as they came out, and actually I got more enjoyment out of it. Watching it in order will put the story together for you, so that you know what I mean. You kind of have some place to follow. But me, I'm just very disjointed in the way I think anyway. So you give me part 8 first, and I'll watch 1. I'll watch this. It doesn't matter to me. I'll figure it out eventually.
No, I think that's part of the fun is allowing the audience to put it in place themselves and figure it out for themselves. Brian, I'll be honest with you. Anytime anybody wants to talk about Monster, I'm 100% here for it. When we lived in Japan, I bought the original small tankobons. Now I'm here in the States, and I bought the big versions of them. If either of you guys haven't seen, read, or watched Monster, it is the best cat and mouse game, book, movie, piece of media you'll ever read. See, you got.
I love the way you both just whipped those out so quick.
And there's these big ones. There's 9, and it's a big wall of nothing but pictures that all connect. It's so great. The best cat and mouse you'll ever read. It's like Brian said. Dr. Tenma is a neurosurgeon who's the smartest guy in the world, and he has a moral code. Hey, you know, doctors always do no harm, and if someone comes in, it doesn't matter about their race or social class. The first person in is the first person who gets treated. Well, the mayor comes in. Oh, dude, there's your other classic. Doesn't matter who they are. They come in. They need help. You know, a young boy comes in with a gunshot wound in the head. He's alive, and Dr. Tenma, being the neurosurgeon, he's like, I'm going to save this kid. Head of is that Freddie? Nice. He comes in and says, hey, you know, this boy got here first. I need to act now and save this young man's life. Well, then the mayor comes in moments later, and the head of the hospital is like, you know, hey, forget this kid. We don't care. If he dies, he dies. We need you to get your hands inside the mayor and save his life. And he has a moral code. He said, no, I'm not going to save the mayor. I'm going to save this young boy. Well, the mayor dies, and then his whole life gets turned upside down, and he gets demoted, and he gets, you know, his girlfriend, who is the daughter of the head of the hospital, leaves him and everything. And, you know, he stands by his guns. Hey, I did the right thing. Regardless, this young boy lived because of me. Comes to turn out, this young boy is a murderer. Comes to turn out, this boy is one of the best antagonists you'll ever read. And it's like The Fugitive, but 10 times better. It's Naoki Urasawa, you know, will drop these little subplots and little throwaway characters that'll come back 11 or 9 volumes later, and like, oh my god, he actually mattered. Look at him. You're like, oh, he took a bullet for them, or he happened to, you know, it's so good. And
the investigator in that series is really good too. I like him.
Oh man, I can't even think of his name now, but he's so great. And you know, he's going to right this wrong, and this young boy grows into a young man and goes back and seeks revenge on all these terrible things that happened to him, and take out all these people at the same time. Dr. Tenma is like, I did something that was wrong, and I need to make this right. But all at the same time, he's on the run for multiple now murders, and it's the best. Brian, we're going to have to do a whole damn episode on Monster and Naoki Urasawa.
Because, you know, the thing is, I always wonder, and every time I watch it, I think the same thing, is that, you know, the sister, right? Is she, like, I feel like she's an accomplice.
I'm torn, and I'm also very torn on the ending, but don't get me wrong, I love it for what it is. I love when a writer makes a stance and says, hey, this is how it's going to be. And yes, we in our world, it's black and white, but we operate in a world of gray, and it is what it is. And I don't want to.
There's a whole lot of gray in the story, right?
No, absolutely.
I mean, it's a shadow of gray with two. You know, it's the same thing I say about The Exorcist, right? You know, I watched that. You know, I've seen that movie, you know, a billion times. And the thing is that you bring with it what you take to it, meaning that, you know, does the priest actually exorcise the demon, right? Or does the demon win when it leaves Reagan and goes into the priest and he kills himself, right? So, you know, if you know, if you're a person that believes that good wins, then bam, you know what I mean? You already have the answer, right? And if you're a person that kind of, you know, doesn't believe that, or you know, you came in with a little bit more of a heavy heart that day, then maybe that doesn't happen, right? Mm-hmm. But there is no definitive determination that one side versus the other won in that battle.
Very true. Good point. I don't want to run too long, but I also want to make sure Laura gets her book in for the month. Laura, Middle Tide.
Before we do that though, because you guys showed off your cool books, sorry, I have a picture because it's at my
That
office.
Is cool.
But like, how freaking cute.
Where the wild things are, right?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
a
Okay.
it's an homage to Where the Wild Things Are, art by Marie Sendek, and it's the cutest comic I've ever seen in my life. I was gifted that this week, and I'm like really excited.
Oh,
about
he
it.
gave that to you?
Yeah,
That's dope. Okay.
That's pretty cool.
yeah, that's why I keep bragging about it. I don't brag
Oh,
about
okay.
other people's stuff.
I mean, you could bring it up every week. I'm okay
That's
with
fine.
So I have been reading the Plated Prisoner series a lot this month, but I'm not finished with it, so I'm gonna like wait until I'm done. But I'm so excited that Kiara finally read Akatar. I have my Akatar cup right now. Can't really see it, but I love it. So I read
Remember, city internet.
But we talked slow burns. This is definitely one of those. It's set in the Pacific Northwest, which is always a vibe that I love because rain girly. And the writing's really descriptive. Like you feel like you can almost just like smell the rain as you're reading this book. And it focuses on this character, Elijah, who's a washed up novelist. And he goes back to his hometown because he's failed, and he's like such a grumpy goober about it. But he ends up getting like wrapped up in a murder investigation that completely mirrors his failed novel that only sold like a couple hundred copies. And it's just like a really good mystery. Like it's your classic, like read on a beach or on a plane, sort of just like cozy little mystery. Quick read, really enjoyable. I picked it up because it was a Barnes and Noble's like book of the month. And you spend a lot of time in the character Elijah's head, which is always just like an interesting perspective of narration because you always have to question whether you can trust the narrator.
Reminds me a lot of like the Dark Half.
Hey.
Um, but you know, it was a good one to take a break from like reading 8 book series where like I'm so immersed in the universe. Like this was just a nice like take a bite out of it and get it done in a like, you know, a sitting sort of situation. It's really well written, very immersive, very rich writing, very descriptive.
Yeah, it's like you went for fast food instead of fine dining.
Yes, yeah, it was good.
And
I
and,
liked it.
and the cheeseburger is good.
Yeah, I mean, I do get a Wendy's biggie bag at least once a week.
I mean, Wendy's fries are the shit.
Supreme.
So Middle Tide, it says it is set in the small Puget Sound of Point Orchard. I was one island over from Point Orchard this weekend. We went to Point Defiance. We went to the beach and saw some seals. There's the ferry. No, it's seven on. There was like 3 or 4 of them. No, it always throws me off when I see the Puget Sound. I always see Puget since I've been here. But no, it says Puget Sound Dr. Aaron Landry is found hanging from a tree on the property of Elijah Leach, a reclusive writer who had returned to the childhood home. The community is shaken. Initially suspected of suicide, Aaron's death bears eerie similarities to the plot of Elijah's own novel. As the investigation unfolds, Elijah becomes the point suspect, forcing him to confront his past, including his failed writing career and the lost love of Nikita, a woman from a nearby reservation whom he betrayed. As tensions rise, Elijah must navigate a web of deceit and betrayal to clear his name and uncover the truth behind Aaron's death. Now, I mean, that sounds pretty dope to me. You know, just or right here in my backyard, the plot of one of my books is coming to life. I'm with that. I love that narrative.
And there has been a little bit of criticism because the author does create a fictional indigenous tribe, which Nikita is from.
Mhm.
And so there's been a little bit of controversy just on that, most stemming from like there's all of these realistic indigenous tribes. Why would you make one up?
Right.
But I think it bodes well for how the book is written. But the way the murder happens and how it all plays out, like you kind of, at least for me when I was reading it, like you do kind of have a feeling you know what happened. But there still does leave that little bit of suspense, and the way it plays out is really interesting. Even if you know what's coming, you're still kind of satisfied with it.
Hell yeah, I'm with it.
Did you read it already? Did I miss it?
What?
Did you rate it already? Did I miss it?
I didn't read it. I would say it was probably a 4-star read for me. Especially like it was what I was looking for, really.
Yeah.
So if you like mysteries, if you like a slow burn, it's definitely a good read. It's not one that I think I will keep on my bookshelves. I'll probably pass it on and gift it to somebody else, but I'm glad I read it.
Very nice. Very nice. I'm going to be short and sweet as I can with mine because I know we're already over an hour. I don't want to keep you guys here. You guys are obviously later in the day than I am. It's not even 10 o'clock for me.
I mean, I slept until 10:55, so I'm solid.
Hell yeah. This is a 5 out of 5 for me. It is a very, you've got to be in this type of genre to enjoy this book. But Dungeon Crawler Carl, I even went yesterday to pick up the next book. This is a lit RPG. If you're a person that likes RPG games, if you like a Skyrim, if you like a game where you're traversing dungeon after dungeon with different biomes of creatures and this, that, and the third, it's so much fun. It centers around Carl, who is he is a former Coast Guard vet. He has a girlfriend named Beatrice. She has gone and left for the weekend on a girls' trip to the Florida Keys. And while she's on this trip, she's on Instagram and she's posting pictures of the girls' trip. And who happens to be there on this girls' trip? Her ex-boyfriend. And she posts pictures on her story of her sitting on his lap ever so nicely. That infuriates Carl. Carl's like, what the hell? What's really going on? Is she cheating on me? Whatever. Carl is back in their apartment with their Persian show cat, Princess Donut. And this cat goes to cat shows or like almost like the Westminster or those, the videos you see on Instagram when they were holding the cats and like great form, good tail, like, good flat nose, like those videos. I love them. But just a pampered cat. They've got a room in the apartment that's nothing but ribbons and trophies and cat trees for this cat. This cat is very high maintenance and is taken care of a lot. Well, Carl sees these pictures on Instagram and says, I'm done with her. Screw it. And he looks out the window and it's snowing outside. And he's like, you know what? Screw her. She doesn't let me smoke in the house. But now seeing these Instagram posts, I'm going to smoke in the house. He cracks the kitchen window open, lights a cigarette. He's sitting there, t-shirt and boxers, whatnot. He's smoking a cigarette. But as soon as he opens the window, prize show cat jumps out the window. So he's saying, oh shit. He grabs his jacket, puts his jacket on, can't find his shoes, jams his feet into Beatrice's undersized Crocs and runs after the cat. All of a sudden, when he runs outside, big, almost like every campy sci-fi movie you saw in the 80s, big light overhead, big alien ship appears, and then boom, every building around him collapses and it disappears into the ether and it's gone. And he's out there, boxer's jacket, tiny Crocs, holding a cat. And he's like, what the hell is going on? He gets transported. It's a corporation, an intergalactic corporation that is running these dungeons. And this season on this reality dungeon TV show, they've chosen Earth. And they must survive these ever-ending, these always continuous dungeons. No one has ever made it past I think they said it was like level 18. We don't know. No one knows how many levels this thing goes, but it's filled with all these creatures. But because it's a reality TV show held by this intergalactic corporation, they take these fantasy creatures and kind of tailor them to Earth. So there's these goblins, but they'll make them like goblin Karens that are bitching at you and they want to see your manager and this, that, and the third. And it's tailored like such. And of course, like everybody wants, eventually they get to the second level, which gives Princess Donut the cat the ability to speak. And it's great. And I want, if anyone does decide to read this book, please, like I put it in the picture there, just imagine it's Kronk and Yzma when she's a cat from Emperor's New Groove. It's so good. The 5th book just came out in hardcover. I brought it up 2 weeks ago to Allory that Seth MacFarlane's company has picked this series up already. And the fact that they have picked it up already on the newest audiobook, Patrick Warburton from Family Guy, he's Joe, and Ted and all these other things he's in. He is now voicing some of the characters in the audiobook. So I assume this is about to be a full-scale thing. But it is the most outrageous, most fun I've had reading in such a long time. It's we finish and clear dungeons and we get loot boxes and people can view and watch us every, the whole, all of the galaxy is watching as they go through this, and all these other survivors that live, and they can sponsor them and they can like them and follow them, and they can send them gifts that would help them or hinder them during their travels and whatnot. But there is a mystery that's going on, because some characters who seem like they're not a threat, maybe they're in on something. Maybe there's something going on that they were prepped for and Carl wasn't. They go in, it's almost like a legit old school dungeon crawler. They might go into a room and the door slams behind them, and then boom, boss battle appears in front of their eyes. And there's a scene, and it's not spoilers because it's the first boss that they encounter, and it's this gigantic spider woman, if you would. And I'm gonna pull it up because my Spanish is not too good. I'm not gonna sit here and fucking fool any of you. I think you guys have an idea. But as they kill this spider woman, she dies, and she says something in Spanish, in which I pulled out my Google Translate, and Carl, not a Spanish-speaking person, doesn't pick up on it. But as she dies, she says, "I'm sorry if I was a bad person," she said. As she closed her eyes, tears streamed down her non-burned side of her face. The woman had only one misshapen tooth in her mouth. She says, "I didn't want my daughter to get sick. I don't want to go back to hell. Please, please send me Jesus." So now we're thinking, are these former contestants in the show, are these people who have made a deal with a corporation who is putting on this dungeon world? There's a lot of other things going on. It is a very layered story, but it is the most fun. It's outrageous. It comes out of left field. It has so many of the video game tropes that you've grown up like, hey, he's got a firebomb and he's got to pull a torch out of his inventory, and he's got to take healing potions. And of course, the cat, who Princess Donut, who gets the ability to speak and who's always put on such a high pedestal at her shows. Of course, she's got that royalty-like accent, and of course, because she's so beautiful when she starts out, her charisma gets amped to 20, and everyone swoons over her, and they'll do anything she says because they're creatures and they don't know any better. They haven't seen such an elegant creature before. But it's so much fun, and it makes it even better because I find out that the author Matt Dinneman lives 2 towns over from where I live. So I'm excited to get to meet him one day. But these books are so great. You've got, on the first one alone, you've got 3 different review blurbs on there. You've got Felicia Day, you've got Patton Oswalt, and you've got Mark Hamill on this first one. So it's so fun. There are 7 books planned so far. He releases them in soft cover first, and they're very kind of 80s, like the Running Man kind of look. But then I wait for them to come in hardcovers. They come for this more simplistic cover, a little bright and colorful. Like I said, I just got the second one, which I'm tandem reading it. You got a little bit of Princess Donut right there with her tiara of charisma, and it's so much fun. And they have to do talk shit after each dungeon, and they get put on in front of the whole galaxy, and they're just like, what's kind of going on? Of course, Princess Donut, who has been elevated her whole life, she eats it up, and all she cares about is she almost cares about gaining followers and viewers and subs more than living. But it's such a fun
going all over the place listening to you talk about it, for sure.
It does, and I'm dual reading this one because when I go to the gym, I can listen to it, and I can come home and I could read it. But I want to get them all. I love them so much. I love they look so cool on the shelf too. They're so distinguishable, but such a fun read. I'm going to read and consume every bit of it I can. I am chomping at the bit to see if Seth MacFarlane is going to make this live action or animated. I would assume animated because his background, but also at the same time the levels of wildness. But if you're a fantasy video game guy, if you're a dungeon crawler yourself, check out Dungeon Crawler, Carl. It is my most rewarding read of the year so far. Where'd you go?
Have you read Ready Player One?
I have not read it, but I have watched it.
The book's so much better, but it's the only lit RPG I've ever read. And so I was kind of wondering, because in my brain, it's a little bit of Ready Player One, and I have zero. I just Googled it, but I haven't read anything. So I'm going based off solely what you're saying. But my brain's like a little bit of Apex Legends.
Yeah.
We talk about, and then a little bit of Hunger Games with the gifts in the audience.
It reminds me of Running Man, for sure.
Yes, definitely Running Man too. Definitely Running Man. But no, it's very fun. It's very, very fun, and it's little things. It's like doing new things, and when you're playing a video game, you get an achievement and it pops up. They get all this stuff visually right in front of their face, but it's sarcastic. Like,
dude, I'm doing that. I'm literally doing that. I just got Hades 2.
Oh,
and because I'm a big fan of Hades 1.
Yeah,
and
really
yeah, I mean, I've beaten that game so many times, but every time I beat it, it's just so more enjoyable. But Hades 2 has taken it to like another level. Plus, I like the little, super giant games. Them throwing all the lore into it and stuff like that has made it, it's made it just super super fun. I'm sort of mad that I can only play it on my PC. It's not on PS5 yet. They have an exclusive deal with Switch and Switch 2 that they're going to come out with it on that platform first before they release it to the consoles. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, it sounds like it's a lot of fun. And you said they're up to what now? What?
Book 5 came out this month.
Okay.
Book 5 came out. I think if you were to go on Amazon, it shows like up to 6 or 7.
Okay.
But I mean, it's obviously things that aren't published yet. But it's so much fun. If the first one doesn't hook you, then I don't know if it will. But for me, I couldn't be having more fun with it. I'm sitting there laughing and smiling as I'm reading it. So I mean, that's absolutely a plus for me. Thoughts? What are we doing the rest of the day, ladies and gentlemen?
So I have a birthday dinner to go to in 30 minutes. So I have to whip it up and get real quick. We're gonna jump.
Just shake your head and nod. Yeah.
Sorry, I have the worst internet today.
You're good.
But yeah, we've been playing Split Fiction, and it's
very cool.
Yeah, we did It Takes Two, and we really liked it. Split Fiction is way harder, and I suck at it. It's like 20 minutes. That's it.
Love it. Brian, what you got for the rest of the day?
I don't know. I got to do some things to prep for podcast. I'm building a trading card game, so that's another programming adventure that I've been on for the past couple months now, and it's based on D&D, but I obviously can't use the D&D IP, so it's called something else. But it has a similar take on it. It's just yeah, if I could ever get it to run without a bug, I'll let you know.
Oh, that's the dream, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's we might talk about it in another 10 more years.
Well, we might be talking about it in 10 years, and we have to bring you on as a special guest, and then you got your own TCG.
Well, at that point, you'll have to talk to my manager, and then
There it is.
Yeah, so but until that time, you have unrestricted access.
Ooh. Kiara, how about yourself?
I have some catching up to do on some work. I wasn't feeling well on Friday, so I really just kind of didn't do very much. So gotta make up for some lost time there. And then yesterday I went berry picking with my mom, sister, and
Nice.
aunts. Yeah, my aunts are in town for the next few weeks from Puerto Rico. So we went out, we got some strawberries. I'm gonna make some shortcake here in a little bit.
Hell yeah.
One of my coworkers just brought in Puerto Rican food yesterday. She gave me some like pastry that was like, I don't even know what it was, but it had like cream cheese in it. Best pastry in my entire life. I mean, that thing it absolutely changed. That was a game changer. I was like, all you need to do is just bring in the pastry. I don't even care about the rest of the food. But bring me 5 of the pastry and we're good.
Yep. Love it. Love it. Food is a form of compensation and payment.
Hell
Trade
yeah.
goods. Trade goods.
I'm with it. I'm going to finish up some homework that I've been putting off all week, and my networking class. Got to connect 2 cities with all their internets, so I got to do that trial and error for at least an hour. Jen went ahead and put hamburger in the sink to defrost, so I assume she wants me to put cheeseburgers on the grill. So that's my day. We can do some reading, and I think I'm gonna get caught up on The Last of Us today. I think that's what I'm gonna do.
I'm not caught up.
I think I'm gonna get caught up. I watched. I don't want to spoil it. How far back are you?
I haven't watched any of the new season.
Okay.
I watched episode
Keep
3.
your mouth shut.
Have you played the game, Laura? I don't know if she's frozen or just okay. Never. I won't say anything.
haven't. I'm just
Okay.
embarrassed.
I didn't play the game either, and TikTok ruined what I think you were alluding to for me. But yeah, no. Get in there, Laura. Or are you waiting until it's all done? Are you gonna binge it at the end?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm gonna do.
Love it. All right.
I'm so glad you're here, Brian.
Brian, it was good to be back.
I mean, the thing is like I can't just piecemeal it. Just let me digest it all in one shot.
Yeah, I need to like gorge myself on it. Like full on like pizza in my lap, 8 hours of just couch time.
100%.
I like for the Halo series when Halo did the on Amazon Prime. I did watch it piecemealed, but I am a psycho because it would be like 4 came out and I watched 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 came out and I watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so I literally watched.
That was such a good series. Like
I agree, I really enjoyed it.
Way better than I expected.
So Kiara, I will share that I am with you on one thing. When I watched the Arcane series, I did watch every time a new episode would come out, or when they released it, I would watch the previous episode to that. Then I would watch. Okay, what am I in for? Okay, what happened?
Yeah, Arcane season 2 anyway. They dropped 4 at a time, right?
Yeah.
So that was a little easier. I felt like, and I like when they drop 4 at a time. 1 at a time is
A
cruel
little
and
rough, yeah.
unusual and disrespectful.
That's like
yeah, but
pure
you also
anarchy.
know we grew up with one at a time, right? Like that
I-
was
I recall a time that of which you're speaking.
just saying.
You're
We're too
right.
spoiled.
We are the problem.
It is
I mean,
true.
I think it's just look, we're talking about efficiency. We've gotten more efficient on how we do it, right? It's not like a trip to the dentist every time where I gotta wait till next week at Thursday night at 9 p.m. to watch this series. But I mean, in a way, it was. I mean, I do remember doing that and having the enjoyable time because it was that time that was carved out that like I knew I was going to do this.
Yeah. When it's a show that I know is gonna wreck me, I'm glad it's 1 episode at a time. Like I could not do The Last of Us like that. Like season 1 of The Last of Us, I was falling apart every episode. I didn't even do the psycho thing. I was just like 1 at a time. That's all we're gonna do here. From also took me through the emotional ringer, and I was glad for 1 episode at a time of From. Also, Brian, we have unabashedly gotten everybody else in From. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it.
And what is that? What service is that on?
Amazon Prime.
It's on Prime. Okay, I will. I'll put it on my my bookmark.
That is your new appointment television. We expect some progress next time we convene, my friend.
Look, I already
I'm on
apologize that I'm
episode
behind.
6 of season 1, for the record.
What's that?
Progress is progress.
Yeah.
We will reconvene in 2 weeks when we decide what the hell we're going to talk about. We will obviously push that in the group chat. Brian,
We're talking about the Traveling Cat Chronicles. Did you not listen, Christopher?
I forgot all about that. I forgot all about that.
I finally freaking picked. Okay, it's gonna be cozy. It's gonna be cute, and we're gonna love it.
Okay, I will make sure I write that down because I totally forgot about that.
I have it on audiobook. I have not done anything with it, but I do. It's there.
Love it.
It's sitting on my coffee table.
Okay.
I just didn't want to read it too soon because I wanted it to be fresh when I talked with you guys.
Love it. Smart.
But, well, not enough to remember, obviously.
Also, we need to. I have been good, and I have not listened to the rest of that YouTube with the kid who I think was abducted.
No.
And we have to come on now. I will do it by myself.
We're gonna have to.
Right?
We're gonna.
Well, you can.
I
I would say FaceTime me, but you're an Android user, aren't you?
I am. I am the problem.
You can Snapchat video me, and we can watch it together. Since Christopher doesn't remember anything.
I've got part 3 ready for us, but it's every bit of like 30 minutes, so we might have to break it in half and pick something that if next week is or 2 weeks is a book review and it's just one book, all of us just probably 23 minutes.
It's a short book.
Cool, I'm with it.
Let's do it next week.
All right.
Or not next week.
I'll have part 3 of Pen Pal ready to go in 2 weeks. We'll talk Traveling Cat Chronicles. And
Chris is
we'll
stop attacking me. Everything's fine.
I know, right? And we will reconvene in 2 weeks. And I hope you all survive Sunday and the week that is upon us. Take care, everybody. Love seeing you again, Brian. We'll add you to the group chat.
Yes.
All right. This has been Plot Points. Have a good day.
Bye, y'all.